welcome to DMOT Garage. We're working back on the single cab 54 barn door ute. Now, let's have a look. We have some cleaned parts. I did a little bit of sandblasting just before and a bit of panel beating on that piece you would have seen in the previous episode. And in the previous episode, we obviously got the side pieces welded on. And we also have a cross brace here, which it's actually just sitting in there. We need to paint that first before we pop it in. Those ones are just, you know, they were bits that were pretty knackered and I wanted to keep them. So we're just going to let those dry off. We're going to do a little bit more work to the floors. We have to get those sorted out too. We still need to, and there's another piece of flooring here. These ones here, we're just going to have to try and repair them, because they're not really attainable, unfortunately. Let's keep moving along with this project, trying to get a few more bits and pieces. It is freezing outside. It's like, I don't know, 7 degrees Celsius. So I've got the heater blazing inside. You know, it's winter down under. People think, oh, you guys are in the desert. We've got snow. We're actually, our ski resorts have got about a metre already. So yeah, well, I'll be up there soon. Yeah, 15 degrees Celsius in here. So it's not too bad. Workable conditions. Let's continue, get some more pieces worked on this chassis. So while these things are doing their phosphoric converting, we'll leave those to it. What we have to do now is we've got a couple of top hats here that we've got to clean up. You can see they're pretty rusty. This one's been joined in the middle. We've got to try and fix that and, you know, just clean them up basically. We need 3 of them. There's 1, 2 here, and then the third one runs right up against the back here, and then it actually sits on top of this one here too. So that sits in like that. Got to press it in, and then the top hat sits on top of it. So the third one is actually in pieces. So this is it here. This is the rear one, and we're just going to have to unpick this because we've got to start again. I want to use a spot welder to weld these together. So you can see we want to just take all those. So we'll just disassemble it. It's got rust all over it anyway, so we want to clean them up and get some KBS on the inside of them as well, so they don't rust in the future. So let's start by just unpicking this thing and cleaning up these rods. Okay, we've got this pile of junk to get sandblasted. Let's get cracking. Right, so what we've done is we have just put in this panel. This one's the one we sandblasted, and I've got a little bit of copper spray. We've got these floor support, and we're going to get these welded in. Basically, that one's going to go like that. And then we've got another one here, which is that real bent up one. Managed to straighten it up, which is cool. And that one just leaves, you can see down there where the tack had broken, so we can line it up, and that's where that one's going to live like that. So let's get these suckers tacked into position, and then we can, we'll make sure that that's butted up again. So I've got to do some measurements on that too, and then we'll tack that in as well. Cool. Okay, now we'll just take some measurements now and make sure the splash pan's in the right spot, and then we'll weld it in. Guys, so we've got a little bit more progress. We're just about to weld this center support inside here. We've got to bring it up from inside, from underneath. The outriggers are all welded on. These are yet to be done. We're just going to run a pipe through the middle to make sure all the holes line up, and then we can weld both of the top hats to the top of here. Like that. These are the old ones. They're a bit beat up, but you know, I've cleaned them up. Wasn't going to buy new metal, so all right. Well, we'll try and get this guy brought up from inside and see how it fits. A lot of these tabs, and you know, they're not always perfect, and you've got to manipulate these and bend them and do all sorts of things. They never perfectly fit. I've never had a set of them that have gone in 100%. But let's have a look.
A few moments later.
So we've got this beast here welded in, and I've welded it from the inside so that you don't see, it'll just look like it's been factory spot welded. I didn't want to have to do plug welds on the outside. So next thing now, these ones can go on top, and they have been painted on the inside as well, and they can be spot welded using the spot welder. So we'll get that lined up. There's a bit of flex in these things, so you've got to manipulate them and move them and clamp them as you go. So we'll get those all sorted and go from there. We'll give that a bit of a cool down, and we can start on the next one. All right, a couple more in there. I've got to have a break. That thing is heavy and it's hard on your back. Whew. All right, bring you back in a sec.
2,000 years later.
Okay guys, so these are done. They're all spot welded in position, and we've still got to put a little plate on the underneath of this one. I think there's just a flat piece which I'll spot weld that in later. Those two are done. That's done. We can actually start putting the side pieces on, and also the I-beams. These three here, they need cleaning up, and we'll get them in as well. Excellent. Let's keep moving along. All right, guys, so we're at Oven Boy's place, and we're going to try and get this thing stamped. I don't think we're going to be able to use a press because I want to try to do it in one full sheet. So we're just going to use, you can see here I've got our lines scribed in, and we're going to just try and punch it just by putting the die. And there he is! He's here! This is what we're trying to do.
Ooh, we're drawing.
I've got lines, but I need a marker. And I
got one of them.
He's got a marker. Let's find a marker. All right, guys, so we did a little bit of an experiment, just using the sledgehammer, and it bloody worked. We've got a nice pressing right in the middle. I mean, this is just a scrap piece of metal. But, yeah, that'll work just nicely. All right, on to doing the sheet. Righto, so we are back home in the DMOP headquarters. I figured I was just going to do this on the concrete floor because we're going to need a nice firm base to do our belting with. It's a real shame that I can't use the press to press these ribs in, but as you can see, it's not going to fit. I was actually thinking of modifying the frame of that, but it would have to be, you know, like 1.5 meters wide to be able to accommodate the full sheet, because this is what we're obviously doing. We need to put these 6 ribs in. So after we did the stamp at Oven Boy's place and it worked, I've got our lines worked out. I've actually sprayed a bit of WD-40 on both sides of the panel and on the die just to make it a bit slippery and lubricated. Hopefully it'll add to the aid of trying to stamp the shape. I mean, it did work. You can see there, it did work with the sledgehammer. It's just going to be a bit of work. Now, what I can do as well is after I've got them out, I can go back over them with I was thinking of making a mini die and just tapping across the top of them, because I think the center section's not going to press as well as the ends. Anyway, let's give it a go. We've got 6 lines here. We have actually added an extra 1.5 mils per side for shrinkage. Stan did mention it, they do shrink in 2.5 mils. So 1.25 or whatever it is outwards, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, let's go. We're going to start with the 2 middle ones first, which are the smaller, and that's how I've got the die set up now, and I can take this little piece out to make it the full length. So let's set her up and see what happens. That's great. Relief in there. And we're nice and straight too. Fantastic. A little bit of dolly work we've just got to do here now on the ground. Bloody nice. Okay. Well, I'm not going to bore you. I'll bring you back in when all 6 of them are done. Let's see how it looks. There we go, guys. That was a bit of hard work. I'm sweating. But we got them all pounded in. A little bit of buckling you can see here, but we'll take care of that. We'll just have to stretch it back out because it's obviously all shrunk because I've got all the ribs, but that came out pretty good. I'm stoked with that, considering all I was doing was pounding those 2 bits of steel together, no press. Yeah, stoked. All right, well, we've got to put some folds on the sides, and we do have to put a fold down the middle of it, so I'm going to have to set up some sort of I'll probably use those bits of steel there in the vise. See if we can kink it in half and try and finish it off and get her welded into the chassis. I'm stoked. Yoo-hoo! Well, after pretty much, I don't know, 4 hours, there she is. All done. I've got to put a couple of little holes off this part here. There's a little lever at this part here. I've got to snap that off and weld that on, and also fabricate this and fabricate that and cut those into it. But apart from that, mate, that was it was a bit of a mission. Bit of a mission indeed. And I mean, it's not actually sitting right, so disregard where it's I think it sits about here somewhere, so I've just got to move it. But I've just put it in there to make sure it fits. I'm happy with that. Look, with limited tools that I've got here, I don't have a folder. You know, it was a bit of a struggle to get it done, but mate, that's more than acceptable. And it's got a little bit of ripples over here, and I'll be able to get those out just with the hammer and dolly. The stampings came out perfect. Oh, look, if it wasn't for Stan and his idea with the using the little die, I would have just been like, oh, what do I do here? So hats off, mate. That was really, really good watching your video to work out how to do this. So unreal. All right, well, we'll let this, I've got a bit of phosphoric acid on there now. We'll let it clean off, and then we can do a little bit more fab and get the rest of it finished off. Righto, guys, so one of the next things we had to do is graft out that little pressing, which I didn't really feel like trying to make it, so I've just chopped it out, did a little bit of repairs to it, and we're just going to weld it back in. And we still also need to make this little bracket and transfer that bracket over as well. So let's get this sucker quickly welded in and continue.
2 hours later.
Okay, guys, so we are ready to weld in this floor pan, and I've just had to do a couple of plug welds along the top here, which we're going to have to do, and then jump underneath and plug weld up the sides as well. Pretty much ready to rock and roll. So yeah, let's get her welded in. Oh, son of a bitch. Straight down me bloody sock. Ow! That hurt. Okay, done diddly done. After a hot piece of magma went down my sock, man, did I feel that. Anyway, she's all welded in. I had to climb in underneath to spot weld the side pieces here. That was a lot of fun, I tell you. And then, you know, I made a mistake too. This little piece here, I actually put it in backwards. It was facing that way. So I had to cut it back out and turn it around and weld it back in again. See, we still make mistakes, you know, we don't hide this stuff. All right, guys, so this will be probably the next part that we're going to have to work on. You can see I had to just tape the bottom flap on so that I know the distances. We'll give it a sandblast and fix up all the edges, and then we can get that welded in. I reckon that'll do it for this episode. Thanks again for the new subscribers, and stay tuned. We've got more content on the Millibug and the 64 Black Betty panel van, so coming up soon. Yo!